Did it?
Yeah, but
Are
I
you serious?
lost. Yeah, but I lost it. I can't find it.
Zoom asks you what your pronouns are. I
Yep.
think it's just updated because it's
iPhone does too.
a few things are
That's
different.
yeah, I did notice that the format was different a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, we're live, I think. Let me make sure.
How are you, Todd?
I'm all right. I came down with something about 24 hours ago, but I think it's energy, DNA.
Yeah, a few
Uh,
people are saying the same thing. Yeah, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, I did a show this afternoon, and during the show it started hitting me, and I just got like chicken skin all over my body. It was freezing. Then after I got off the show, I laid down, and all of a sudden these massive heat waves just went through my body. So I know it's energy.
Yep.
And it's my birthday, so it's a
Oh,
end of a. I turned 64, so it's the end of a 9 cycle. It's in the ninth of the month. It's a 9 year. So I
Yep.
think all the shit is just, it's like when you let the water out of a bathtub and it just starts going and swirling at the bottom. But yeah, there's a lot going on, and I keep repeating this on the shows. What you said on the first show we did about we're not going to, the Arcturian said we're not going to recognize ourselves at the end of the year. I still think that's going to hold true. I think something is
Coming.
afoot. Yeah, something's
yeah.
afoot.
Oh, I hope
And
so.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happens on or about the solstice, but yeah, so yeah, I'm just gonna take it easy. I'm feeling a little bit peaked, but yeah, it's been great. A lot of people reached out today. I talked to my daughter. I hadn't talked to her in a few months, and yeah, just different people. Talked to my dad. I'm gonna call my mom in a minute and call her back. But yeah, I appreciate what you
Great.
guys are doing, Gareth. It's good to have you back again. I had a great time last week with Katie. That was cool, and I want to get you one on one and pick your brain a little bit.
Is it
Uh,
your birthday, Todd?
yeah, today's my birthday.
Today's your birthday.
Today?
Yeah,
Oh, I thought it
Happy
was.
birthday.
yeah, yeah,
No
today.
wonder you talk to all these people who love you.
Yeah, yeah, it's been
Happy
kind of cool.
birthday, mate. I
Mm.
said happy birthday to you a couple. I thought it
You did. You sent it to me
Facebook.
yesterday, but it would have because it came up on.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course.
I started getting from the Southern Hemisphere. People started sending me happy birthday yesterday because it
Ah,
was already the ninth. But yeah,
lovely.
yeah. So anyway, all right,
Oh,
I'm gonna let you guys roll,
Okay.
and I'm gonna plug in and lay down on the bed and listen to. Oh wait, let me get this.
See you on the flip side. I love seeing you when you comment in the chats, by the way. I love it.
All right, all right. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Thank
she's
you.
done.
Thanks.
All right, bye bye.
Hey, Gareth. Long time
Hi.
no see.
Yeah, long time no see.
We just hung up from a Zoom.
How
Mike
you been
says
since
hi,
Wednesday?
by the
Hi,
way.
Mike.
Everyone says hi.
Hi.
Sunshine says hi.
I love
Lindsay,
that name.
Flicks, Mike. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, just had a nice chat with Lisa.
Hmm. Everyone's in it.
Yeah, yes, December's rolling on, and that's the Arcturians at the start of the year saying you will not end the year in the same situation with which you began it.
And
Intriguing.
it is intriguing and I love it, but it could be vague. It could be anything. I mean, I of course I'm not gonna be the same in 1 second that I am right now. So, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I mean, other than having my bathroom renovated, so far, aren't I ending the year kind of the same way I began it? No?
It's only the ninth,
I know.
and
It's
and
only the night.
yeah, there's a lot of December to go. But I mean, and also, they don't define circumstance, and that's deliberate. So
Yep.
we're looking
And I'm
at
not trying to poo-poo anything. Are you kidding me? I love them.
no, but we're looking at the circumstances that play out as being part of the process of the reversing of the inversion, so freedom. It's just a way for you to notice what that is, like I mean, what plays out, and to see it as part of the process, not because often our expectations of what it means are part of the problem. You know, we want it, we hear something like that. This happens a lot in spiritual circles or across the internet. We hear something like that and we immediately think that we're going to go from slavery to freedom because of this shift. And we are, but not in the
Yes.
way that we expect.
You've always told me do not be attached to time, form and timing. Form and timing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the because where it comes from is the problem. So part of the process is to get dislodge our expectations that we know what's going to come and what it should look like, because that comes from, without realizing it, it often comes from that place of self-doubt and need to control
And
reality
need to
that's subconscious.
fix. Yeah, we
It's
got
very
it. We need the
subconscious.
solution. We got to fix this now. I mean, I'm the first in line to admit I'm so impatient.
Yeah, and you want it to stop. You just don't know what it is. So the stopping it part is a
Yeah.
problem. What
Yeah.
stops it?
Yeah.
And maybe everything that's playing out is that process. Getting
Absolutely.
getting getting everybody to that point, getting all of us to that point. You know, what do I know? Maybe this is the process of becoming free.
This
That's a
is
tough one.
this is definitely the process of becoming free. I do
But
not argue. There are certain core things I do not argue with. Like my faith is unwavering, unwavering. And that all of my past served me to get me here, everything I'm doing. I still have those moments like we were talking about earlier, even before Lisa jumped on, when I was just I'm constantly in guilt, I guess, over my awakening and how my family seems to be so disappointed and angry with me and their impatience for like why isn't she the way she was, like, and I'm always telling like, did I do it wrong? Could I have been gentler, kinder? Could I have done anything differently? And honestly, I don't think I could have or I would have. Like I couldn't function. I was trying to save my life.
yeah,
I have to see it that way, but you know, those intrusive thoughts get in there. They are
they do.
cunning little
Yeah,
fuckers.
very. And I mean, seeing that as part of the process helps a lot. That's the whole thing with satsang.
The awareness. You know,
Yeah.
you're
So
going through it. You can't fight or do your way out of it, but if you have awareness of what it is, it helps it.
yeah, that there's a process playing out that you can't control because you can't see it, and then by definition, whatever's in front of you right now, you can't categorically say that it shouldn't be happening this way or the way I'm thinking is correct. And that's tough. Like it's disorienting, but it dislodges all the expectations that are based on the assumption that you're not right, which is where all of it comes from. You know,
Right.
everything that comes after that, that experience as children, which makes us feel we're not quite right as we are. We need to be somebody else and do something else. That's where all of this thinking comes from. So letting it come up as being part of the process of releasing is a whole other strategy. It's a whole other way of approaching this spiritual path that everyone's going through. Fifth dimension is spirit, and
Yep.
it's a dimensional shift into back into the fifth dimension. So seeing these thoughts as they pop in, noticing them, like arguing with them, having all of that same old dynamic that's always been there, and then having this part watching it going, maybe this is the process. How does it fit? That's the
Yeah,
looking for
yeah,
how it fits.
yeah,
Because now there's a third element. There's another way of looking at it. It's not the same old problem, reaction, solution. So then, you get to a point where this is the whole name of the game. When you hit the wall, you want to know why. and you go through a process you can't see or control. You don't even know it's happening most of the time. You're just in that feeling, that's it. And you can't see a way out. But you've got a question, well, something shifts in the way you move through life. And at some point that shows up consciously. And you'll be able to look back and see everything that you've gone through was deliberate and you were guided and you met that guidance. And that's what undoes self-doubt.
Yeah.
So how you got there has no relevance, except that you got there.
Right.
But
Yeah,
you can't do it.
and what's that?
But you can't do it. You've just got
You
to
can't
surrender
do
to it.
it. You just
You,
surrender to
you,
it. Yeah, yeah. And sometimes when it's too heavy and I'm just bawling in my bed, I'll just like out loud, this is for you, God. I can't do this.
Right. So I'm just moving things around a bit. It's too
What, I'm
heavy.
supposed to talk during the uncomfortable
No, I just didn't want to
pause?
go bang Um,
I don't know. I don't even know if I have any questions for you. How about you just talk?
what's that book?
Oh, the Bible code.
Oh yeah. Sorry, the way it's written, I don't like too much. He's a journalist, so it's a journalistic style.
Sure.
But if you can weed through that to the core content of the whole point of that is to help with this transition right now. That was all put together in the Atlantean age, the code that was embedded in the Hebrew Torah.
The Bible code. Oh,
Mm.
I, I, have I even been on with you on Tuesday since I started reading The Only Planet of Choice again? I
No,
don't think so. I was on last week with Todd, and I like every single thing he said. I wanted to reference the book. I wanted to bring up the book. I wanted to give a piece of wisdom from the book. Like, because I bought the book over 3 years ago now, and I read it, but not, I don't know. It's like not with the same fervor I'm reading it now. I mean, I've taken a few days off because I've just been really busy with house stuff, but it's just really ringing like a bell for me.
totally. Well, that's what I
Holy
was just talking about. That process where you hit the wall and you think nothing's happening, but something is happening. You just don't consciously connect to it till later. There's always a gap. That's what's hard for people. They have a problem, they want a
to allow
solution
the
now.
gap.
And because there's no solution now, there isn't one. That's because there isn't one, or I don't have what it takes to find it. But when you hit the wall to the degree you have, um, that question, yeah, but what's the truth, bypasses everything else. So it's still there, even though you've got the same strategy. Now, what happens over time is you receive the same stuff in a much deeper way because there's more of you online. There's less of you caught up in that old way of being. It takes
Mhm.
time to get conscious of it, but that's part of the reason why this stuff resonates better.
A friend of mine on Instagram wrote to me and asked, so do you talk about what you and your friends are doing like to get through this on your Tuesday nights? And I'm like, I don't know, I think so. Right? I mean, isn't that kind of an interesting question? Like, I mean, unless he's never seen the show before, which he wouldn't know. But I don't know, you guys, are we talking about how we're doing to get through this? Are we helping anyone? So Janelle says, yesterday I had a massive release of wounds I've been carrying since childhood. I have very little fear of anything now. Release, release, release.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And she says, thank you. It's only taken 48 years. LOL. Oh shit, what an experience we live. Isn't she right? Isn't she
Yeah.
right? Well, that's what December is that's what 2025 is, releasing the old. But I don't know, like should we talk about digital ID? Should we talk about
Yeah, I mean we can.
immigration?
Well, that's
Right?
I mean
Like
that's
people, yeah.
that's a hot topic, yeah, because it's what's happening in the world out there and it's designed to trigger reactions. And that's how this whole problem has been created in the first place. So yeah, absolutely. It's just again the whole point of what I'm trying to bring is the big picture context that's been missing. So how to see all of that in a context that puts it all together, and then you can see it as being part of a process to freedom. So not all the bits in
Yeah.
isolation. So because there is a very simple big picture context that wraps the entire playbook around, like the all of human history, the reason why all the government decisions seem so incompetent. They're not incompetent, they're just part of a strategy that's hidden.
Yeah, I know. So let me just bring that up really fast. So everyone's like outraged about the toxins in the food or the poor level of education or the banks and their interest rates and these 50-year mortgages. And I'm like, why? Why are you even getting outraged? It's absolutely working as designed.
Yes.
There is no amount of outrage that's going to do anything. This is the way it was designed, and this is what we're reversing when we
Yeah,
see
absolutely.
it.
I mean, look, and there's a role for stopping and standing in, I'm not going to
In
participate in digital
sovereignty,
ID. I know
right?
that. I definitely am not participating in digital ID. There's not a
No
chance at all
way.
whatsoever.
No way.
The thing is, the context for what you do with that whole thing, it is
That's what matters.
there's a context to put that in that works because it's pretty overwhelming. So basically, what's digital ID all about? It's just the end game of slavery. So China's been put at the head of the table of the deep state cabal. Um, Many different it's a loose knit alliance of self-interest groups that are all working within a group that got identified as those of the interference. So the galactic element, and there are different races involved in it. Think of the Empire in Star Wars, some of the reptilian races, for instance, particularly. There are others. And so there's this galactic side. There's a human side and a galactic side. And the core of it is a being that the God identified as the one that fell. And there's a way to explain that. But fundamentally, it's the final move of the plan. And that's really all it's about. So the
It's
UN,
the final what
the final move of their plan to take
of
over
their
the world.
plan. Sorry,
But
thank you.
but the way the takeover has to happen is through free will, because there's the reason they're taking over the human race is a very specific reason,
Mhm.
which isn't what anyone realizes. It's not what people
Mm-mm.
think. It's got nothing to do with money. It's got nothing to do with power.
Yep.
It's really all about the one that fell needing a light space vehicle to make a transitional jump because that being is trapped by the human race in this paradigm.
Hmm.
And if they can't figure out a way to piggyback off the human race during this transitional jump, then their whole it's all over for them. Like full stop.
Yep. Yep.
That's the whole reason the human race was put here to start with. So
Yep.
digital ID is just part of that strategy. The Agenda 21, the Agenda 2030, the UN, EU, blah, 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 blah. They're all just strategies in a single totalitarian system.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
So
Yep. So talk about what did you tell me about London protests, which were in protest of digital IDs, correct?
yeah, well, digital IDs. I mean, today was the it's in Australia. It's supposed to be today, the 10th of December. It's the 10th here. And in Britain, there was a massive protest there in London that closed down the entire city. And the news media, of course, and especially in Australia, because Australia has a massive role in the end game for those of the interference. It's a very big part of the end game for them. So the media here is playing it down. They said it was 110,000, and they call them it's always characterized as far right or right wing. They're
Of
trying to
course.
associate it with fascism. It's
I
just
was
people
just gonna
standing
say,
up for
didn't you
themselves.
know I'm a Nazi
Yeah,
fascist communist pig? Didn't you
yeah,
know?
The irony is there, it's them. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, oh, it's obvious, Cody. It's obvious. Stands out, doesn't it? Like ridiculous. But the
But it
reality is
was millions.
it wasn't 110,000, it was more like 3 million. Physical people standing in the city. There's another one with farmers where tens of thousands of farmers blocked the whole of London with tractors.
They did that in Berlin too, I
Berlin,
believe.
across Europe. Yeah, there's a lot going on. God singled out the UN. And when that happens, that's a focal point. He said, your UN is not so united. So
United.
the engine room of divide and conquer is the group behind the UN. How did the UN get created? Look at the history of how the UN was created. World War II.
Right.
Look at all the elements of this totalitarian system that were all put together during World War II. The secret government that had power to override Congress, Parliament, in
Yeah.
times of emergency.
Yes. Yes. COVID was a time of
Yeah,
emergency, right? The civil unrest because of the immigration is going to be coined a time of emergency. So we relinquish all power and give it to
yeah,
those in power.
yeah. So why did they have to generate a problem called all the social elements engineering that went into creating World War II? Why did they have to create that problem to get this outcome post World War II? Because we have to choose it. They have to trick us to paint a picture that makes us think we're choosing the right thing or the only thing.
Okay, so that's why the initiation or the beginning of the United Nations came from an organic sense of right doing, but just like everything was inverted.
I mean, the problem is the change has got to look like the one we want to see. We wanted the whole premise behind the UN, the Geneva Convention and the Nuremberg Code was to make sure totalitarianism and the crimes against humanity were all defined, et cetera, et cetera. Germ warfare, experiments on humans, the Holocaust, that kind of thing, human rights. It was all put together at that point in World War II.
Yeah.
So this, but also the CIA, Mossad, blah, blah, all the secret service organizations were all put in place during World War II. They didn't exist before that,
Mm.
not in that form. So
Hmm.
it was given a global scale and an ability, the secret government was given an ability to operate outside scrutiny.
Yep.
And the only way they can get away with that is because we gave them the
We allow
authority
it.
to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
We
what's
allow it.
broken the back of that mechanism is COVID. And it's
Yep.
starting to have a knock-on effect into everything. So people are waking up to the fact that there is a they and they do have an agenda on a massive scale. So everything they're doing, they're having to move too fast because of the rate the human race is waking up is too it's happening way too fast and they can't control the flow of it. So they're throwing everything they can at it, which means they're showing up everything. They're showing themselves up.
Yeah.
In the end
Yeah.
times, the charlatans reveal themselves.
Yeah, so that brings me to a big old conspiracy theory. So many poo-poo, but I don't know. Like the shape, and you referenced it earlier, the reptilian races. Like, you know how many people that I know and respect and trust and believe think like the royal family is all reptilian? Like, what does that even mean? Like ET at this point is we're all ET. Like, I don't even know what that means. Is it just a civilization? And I know you're not the end all be all or the, absolute authority on this, but where do you stand on things like reptilian?
Oh, look, yeah, absolutely. The reptilian races are 100% real. Um, the Klingon Empire was an example of what God gave to Gene Roddenberry when he was asking about the nature of extraterrestrial intelligence and their relationship to us and each other and what their civilizations look like, how it all operates, etc. The idea of galactic federations, etc. Well, that was all put into Star Trek. So the Klingon Empire is an example of of a certain dynamic of being warlike. So it depends on the self-aware life, the planet they come from, the place in the ecosystem that the organism that became self-aware came from. Some of them come from predatory species, some of them come from prey species. There
Are
are,
there good reptilian races?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I thought.
yeah,
That's
and
what I thought. But the royal
intrinsically,
family is not an
well,
example of good
intrinsically,
rept.
life is good.
Right.
So the one
Like
that fell is the,
they're even a victim or rather a
yeah,
player in the
the,
inversion.
the one that fell is the core problem.
Right.
So it
Right.
takes a dynamic within a race and amplifies one side. It creates, it's all just imbalance.
Yep.
It's all just imbalance. But some races have a very high propensity to violence or to that, or particularly reptilians can be emotionally detached. Cold-blooded is the symbol.
That's what Mike
So
just said. They're
yeah, I mean
cold-blooded.
it's not as cut and dried as that, but and there's a very, very big connection between the reptilian races and the way this is all playing out here because of what happened with the dinosaurs, which were real. There was an epoch
Oh,
that had
stop.
dinosaurs. Look, there's a lot of distortion around everything, absolutely. Napoleon, the victor writes the history. They confuse us and they rewrite history constantly. So, but the reason that's important, there's a line in the Bible that God did smite the dragon. God described the Bible as a portion of letting through of truth. So there's baby and
Right.
bathwater. There's a lot of distortion. There's a lot of Roman Empire all over it. So, you got to be really careful how you approach it, absolutely. But that's one of them. God did smite the dragon. So the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous period was knocked off trajectory deliberately at exactly the right angle to hit the planet at precisely the right time to wipe out life to the point where the dinosaurs couldn't come back. And that was done deliberately. It was done timed perfectly because the Earth was already about to go into a mass extinction event. But it wouldn't have wiped the dinosaurs out because that's what the Eocene, the Pleistocene. There's also that's just a part of cycle of the universe. Everything has a beginning and an end. So, but the asteroid on top of that chain of events that was changing the ecosystem, the balance in the ecosystem meant the dinosaurs couldn't come back. Now, the reason that happened was because some of the reptilian races in those of the interference had started to interfere with some of the species there to create self-aware life. That was, think of it as a kind of robot, the ultimate. I mean, think of a T-Rex, what it would do now if you put 10,000 T-Rexes all connected to an AI mainframe into this planet right now, what would happen? So
Right.
they were looking to create the ultimate super soldier, which is one of their agendas always. And then that was wiped out. And instead, the human race was put here as a trap for the same group. So the reptilians have a very, very vested interest in doing back to us what was done to them.
So you're saying the dinosaurs were the reptilians?
No, 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 no. The reptilians are from another planet.
That's
They
what I
were
thought.
using yeah, it was a genetic breeding program. The dinosaur species were already here. That was part of it. But the reptilian races showed up to genetically engineer some of those species into being self-aware enough so that they could use them as super soldiers. And that program was shut down by the Galactic Federation in service to the All That Is.
Hmm.
By getting the asteroid,
Yeah.
the asteroid would have missed the
Just
planet. It was done deliberately.
okay. There's got to be so much mistruth around dinosaurs. Ever since I even entertained the idea that they weren't a thing, I believed they weren't a thing. They cannot be what they have taught us they were.
Of course, well, the importance of the reality behind them. But they're
Okay.
absolute dinosaurs. I mean, there were reptilian species. The way the planet was set up at that time meant the body plan could be massive. The balance in the oxygen carbon dioxide ratio, this is one of the things that happened post the asteroid, can't support a body plan of that size anymore. Um, it was a lot hotter. There were a lot of differences in the ecosystem back then. So, but like I said, really all these galactic, those are the interference simply were genetically engineering, trying to genetically experiment on some of the dinosaur species that existed to create a super soldier. And they were getting to the point
Goodness.
where these species were about to become self-aware. Velociraptor was one of them. Species
Wow.
called the
We have
Velociraptor
never talked about this.
has a massive claw.
Right. Just like in
Right.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Very, very intelligent, extremely intelligent, and hunts in packs,
Just like
which
in
is quite
Jurassic
unusual
Park.
for a reptilian. So a lot
Wow.
of these experiments were getting certain races, certain species to become self-aware, like I said, and it was just about
All
to work,
right.
and so they were wiped out.
Well, you know what? I'm constantly saying prepare to be wrong and constantly saying that I am prepared to be wrong. So I guess I'll be prepared to be wrong. I just know that we are lied to at such an epic scale that I have just written off dinosaurs. I've just written them off.
You always know where there's a lot of confusion, there's truth.
Okay. That's a
That's where
very
they
good
focus
point,
all of their
Gareth.
attention on. They want to bury the truth in smoke, so much smoke and bathwater, we just throw it all out.
Yep. Yep. Dinosaurs are huge. They're huge. They're like, I don't mean size. I mean in importance and
Yeah.
propaganda and
Yeah.
school and little kids and all that. So Sunshine says, I don't understand. The one who fell? Question mark. They need humans in order to survive, so what are they doing to us?
The one that fell is what you would call the devil. However, our understanding of what that all is has been taken deliberately by the Roman Catholic Church, which is the Roman Empire, which is those of the interference, Rockefeller, Rothschild, Napoleon, la di da di da, all the way back to Roman Empire, all the way back to Atlantis. Same group, same group. So, of course, they're going to engineer everything around the Nazarene and everything around all of this to totally throw us off. So, this idea that there is a devil has been turned into something that you either go all the way into in a religious sense and go, and become delusional, or you react against the delusionariness of what we see as delusion of the religious people and throw it all out. Oh,
Right.
there's no such
It's
thing as God.
either
There's
or.
because I see religious people as delusional, there's no God, there's no devil. That's what they want you to do. What stops you doing it? What stops the reason I want you to do that is it takes the idea that you can have a rational conversation about is there any truth to it? And if so, what is it? That's the last thing they want. For you, all of us to have a rational conversation with each other about the nature of God, ETs, and Jesus, the Nazarene, the three topics they've spent the most attention on. That's the last thing they want us to do. And that's why I say, wherever you see this confusion and the intense reactionaryism, that's where you look, because that's where you know the problem. That's where the solution to this whole situation lies. So, who is the one? What's the word evil? It's the inversion of
Live.
live.
Yep.
If you take devil and you put an apostrophe between D and E, you get of evil, the French. So, the problem in us is the ego that controls. So, the ego that controls on a galactic, on a universal scale. It's the illusion of separated created by the ego. The idea that there can be a self separate from God is why the universe exists, and it exists for a reason. There's a divine order to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that you can be in service to that can also be opposed. I am me. This is what a lot of people are going through. They don't want to give up who they are, the family members. They're going to fight against the truth of who they are, to be who they think they are, to just scale that up to the universe, and that's the one that fell. The only way the one that fell can exist, it's a thought. It's an idea, a concept. The only way that can exist is if enough self-aware life believes in it or owns it. And that's the whole reason the human race was
So,
put here.
right,
I'm
right.
trying to explain a very, very big topic
I know.
in a chain of in a conversation, in a chain of concepts that I'm trying to link together, and it's a tough one to get across because people hear that and they react
No,
against.
they're hearing you. They're hearing you in the chat. I have a question from Donna in a second, but I wanted to ask one thing. You said where there is big attention and confusion and emotional reaction to something, there is truth. Does the
Hmm.
same go for like so many people hating a particular politician? Like, right?
Yes, but it's a weapon. Emotional reactionaryism is a weapon that they can
Yes.
use like puppets.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got to be, that's why emotional reaction, problem reaction solution is the dynamic to all of it. How do you get free of problem reaction solution? By looking at the topics that create the most reaction objectively. So you're still going to have the reaction, but you've got to have a part of yourself watching it all going, what's the real truth?
Truth.
And as
Yeah.
soon as you start doing that, you start connecting the dots between how the Catholic Church was created in the Roman Empire, how the UN was created, how the World Economic Forum was created,
Yeah.
why they're bringing in digital ID, what happened with communism, boop, boop, boop,
Emergencies.
all of
We
it,
need you to
all of it,
take care of us.
all of
Emergency.
it.
You need to do this for us. Right.
Yeah, so the politicians you hate, it's like give them an enemy that they think
Yes.
is the problem while we get away with this
With
other stuff over
this
here.
other stuff over
We'll,
here.
we'll,
Okay.
we'll give them something to look at over there so that we can get away with everything over here. Look, the
Okay.
politicians around the world, they're just the sales department of the UN. They've been selling the agenda necessary, all of the elements necessary to get the world into the state it's in right now since World War II. In fact, since the 1900s. So all the economic policies, fighting inflation, the need to privatize uh, public services and utilities, all sold to us as necessary and blah 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 blah
Yeah,
blah
yeah, yeah.
over the
For our
last
best
decade.
interest, for
Well,
our
yeah,
protection.
they're just COVID. They're just like I
Yeah.
said, the sales department. They aren't the
Okay.
sovereignty of each
Sales
nation has been
department.
undermined by corporations gradually over time.
Okay, let me backtrack to Donna's question. When you were talking about the one who fell, she said, I totally resonate with Gareth about the devil and what he's saying. So, what is Gareth's take on demonic energies then? Because she and I are in this community, we're in, and there's constant talk about demonic energies. And many of us are either silently or publicly saying in chats and lives or whatever, like that is yourself. You're talking about yourself. Like, so what do you think about demonic
Yeah,
energies and entities?
it's the same thing as your higher self. So what is your higher self? We have this abstract thing called me and my higher self. Really, the reason there is a higher self is because we were shut down to 3D from 5D. So the rest of us, which can't be destroyed, is separate from our awareness. Now that's changing. So we're becoming that there is no, in reality, there is no higher self and lower self. There's just self. There's just the truth of who we are. But the full truth of who we are is that we're 5 dimensional, not this physically too dense. So there's only 10% of our consciousness. We can only hold about 10% of our true nature in this current form. Now that's what's changing. The whole physical frequency we operate at is rising. So there's more of us coming online. That's why there's a lot of detox going on. Like Todd was feeling sick and Lisa, there's a lot of symptoms of detoxing playing out.
Yeah.
So think of demonic as the same thing. It's an inversion of reality. It's there. If your creative energy, like when you were a kid, let's say you're a kid, you wake up, you're scared of the dark. So you wake up in the middle of the night and you want to go, you're busting to go to the toilet, but you're too scared to walk outside the door because it's pitch black. So you've got to wake someone up to go with you. is what you're afraid of real? Well, it isn't. But in you, to you, in that direct experience, it's real. So scale that up. What's the whole point? Is to make us take the unknown and make it into something it's not. Evil.
Instead of
Life,
just unknown.
there is no, yeah, like I saw when I was two, there's one frequency that everything comes from, which is love and light. Is the way we experience that core frequency is love and light. We feel it as love, we see it as light. We experience the whole universe is really a holographic projection. So it's a single energy. There is no duality is an illusion. What creates duality is this illusion called time, that there's a moment now and a moment then. So we have a gap. We can experience that love in this moment, and the next 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 moment, infinity, 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 infinity. All the infinite form. That's all the universe is.
Right.
So this illusion that there is darkness is simply the lack of awareness of the experience of love we've yet to have. So demonic, all of that only exists because we believe it. We think it's real. That's it. There is no demonic energy any more than there is separation. So us waking up
Okay.
at when the human race gets this at the most physical level of the universe, it can't operate that way in the universe in the way it has anymore. And that's the whole
Yep.
point of our existence.
Yep. That's a very good
Does that make sense?
explanation. That makes a lot of sense, actually, Gareth. A lot of us in the chats listening to them speak on the demonic energies were just like, it's almost,
The shadow.
it's the shadow. It's almost outsourcing what you're going through to give it a name over there so it's not this
Yeah.
and it's this. That's it.
You own your fear, there's no demon. Nothing. It can't exist without fear. Fear is fear is a mental construct. It's an idea about what might be in the gap.
Yep.
And that's where this whole thing about demons, the more creative energy we put into that gap, that's the matrix, copper top battery. The entire planet, the way it operates now, runs on fear, not love. Fear is a mental construct. That's why we call it the matrix. It's a belief system. And fear of the unknown is the mother of all of it. Self-doubt is fear of the unknown can't exist without self-doubt, without self-aware life doubting itself, without all of us like, do I
So
have what it takes to meet life? And is there something scary out there?
So that's the core of the entire
The entire
inversion.
problem. That's why the best thing you can do is not try to fix it out there or freak out about digital ID, but come back in here
Come back in
and question the one who's afraid. There's a reason why they couldn't touch the Nazarene.
here.
God said of his death, he could have stopped it at any time. There's nothing they can do to anyone who's awake at all.
Right.
Any avatar, any guru, there's nothing they can do to touch him. When you know the truth of who you are, you're untouched by any of it. That's what the
Yeah.
last thing they want you to know.
Yeah.
As long as you think you've got to fix it out there and be scared and you're not doing enough unless you're protesting. Now there's a role for it. But it's a secondary thing. Speaking
Definitely.
the truth, there's a role for it, absolutely, but it's a secondary thing. If you're doing it to fix a problem
It's
without
still
getting clear on,
externalizing. Exactly. It's still
then
externalizing
you're
the
not, you're
inside
just
problem.
participating in the problem. You're not really fixing the problem. No.
Right. Right. I felt that because I've told you I am a recovering liberal. And I say that with laughter, but at the same time, it's still divisive, right? I'm also not a conservative. I've also withdrawn my voter registration, all of that. But I was like from a hardcore liberal family and, doctors and, the whole academics and like school matters. But like, I marched on Washington for gay rights. I marched on Washington for women's rights. I marched on Washington for choice, probably black rights. I don't remember. Like, I was gonna go to Washington and I was gonna
Hmm.
right the world. And in looking in retrospect, like, wow, wow. I mean, of course it was from a loving,
Yeah.
wanting. equanimity and like just love.
Yeah,
But that protesting from the 60s, I think 60s is probably when, mass protests began, right? About.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
not sure.
but that was all part of the inversion as well because it simply amped up to what the hell shit show's happening right now.
Well, it's still
Like
doing. It's still trying to do.
it's still doing, and it's still everyone is screaming so loud to be seen with their they thems and she hers and pink hairs and you know what I mean? Like it's still dividing. There's no unity
Yeah,
in that
because
protest, in that singling yourself out to stand out because you're not right as you are. It's still doing.
you're still trying to be someone to get away from the self you believe you are, and we're really angry at all the other people that did it to us. And there's a, that's what they want us to stay stuck in. It's a victim perpetrator loop. So we're at a crisis point where we need the world to change, and all we've got to go on is the same old MO. It just doesn't work because it
Yeah.
works on the assumption that you don't have the power to transform your life. That what is that? Well, the self, the true self, the true nature of who you are, doesn't need anything, and the energy that creates in the world around us. Darkness is an absence of light. When you come back into the truth of who you are, the amount of light you put into the world, this darkness can't coexist with.
Cannot.
That's why it works. Awareness. We're all connected. We're all connected into the consciousness that you're aware of is just the white cap of a wave. But the subconscious part of your consciousness is the body of the wave that goes into the ocean. So whatever you bring into your life, if you switch on as a receiver and you bring in the love of everything as being part of transforming your life and not the problem, and you're willing to let it transform you, you put that into the collective consciousness. And it's happening so much with
Yes,
so many
yes.
people all around the world. There's nothing they can do to stop it.
You know what you're reminding me of? Oh my goodness, I'm gonna go there. The only planet of choice. I cannot believe because all the people, so many of the people asking the questions of God, Tom, within the book are kind of activists and they're lovely, good-hearted people, but they're, concerned about climate change and concerned about this social problem or that social problem. And they're lovely. I'm not putting them down. But I can't believe throughout that book, God's solution for all of it is meditation.
Go within.
Is simple contemplation, is silence, is he says, and I know it's not he, whatever. I don't even need to say that to you.
Well, the active principle that
The
speaks
active
to it is
principle
the
is
masculine
masculine.
principle.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I am comfortable saying he, but I also know it's, yeah, balance, 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 balance. But he says that they ask repeatedly throughout the book, what can we do? His answer is always meditation. And when they ask for more specifics, he's like 18 minutes. He didn't do 10 minutes or 8 minutes or 1 hour. He's like 18, so specifically 18 minutes. And he's so hilarious. Oh my God, God is so funny. He says, and if you can't do 18, three will do.
But the numbers,
It's the
mathematics
numbers
is the language
exactly
of the youth.
3 and 9, right?
18 is polarity imbalance.
Right? Because
Two nines,
two nines.
duality. The
Yeah.
feminine and masculine coming to completion with each other is 18.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
when you get when you put eight, which is a symbol for the
In
divine, and one together, the ego, you come back into your divine nature. So it's about
right.
putting the mind back in service to the heart. So 18 is a specific number, very specific number. So
Right.
when you go in, basically he's saying when you stop and let yourself reflect on who you are in the moment, you come back to yourself, that's the solution
Right. Right.
to
Well,
that
as
out
Mike,
there.
to that out there, as Mike said, we are one, so we're just fighting ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you get the French to meet what they're going through in a balanced, harmonious way? Well, you connect with yourself in a balanced, harmonious way
Right.
with that, and
Right.
you give it to Tom, you give it to God. Like you said, you come into this situation, you go within, and you give it to us, and you have faith in yourself and us that it will be resolved. So this whole thing
Yeah.
with what those with interference are doing all around the world right now, if every one of us, even just on this call, did that, the speed with which the interference would be dismantled would exponentially speed up.
Right. Right. Well, that's what he says in every single response to what can we do? Meditate. What can we do? Meditate. 18
People don't
minutes.
really understand what meditation is, though.
Right. Well, they think there's a wrong way to do it, really, and that they have to silence those thoughts and like, no, sometimes I'll go to meditate and I'll be 5 minutes in and an answer comes to me about something that I've been, thinking about or even stressing about. And I'll have to get up at that moment. And sometimes I'll come back to the meditation, but sometimes I won't. And that meditation served the exact purpose I needed it for.
Yeah, yeah, that's an example of it. And I mean, you can meditate walking through a crowded city.
Yep. Yep.
It's really more about the still point in all of the mental stuff flying around that your attention just gets pulled around all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's that we don't know any other way.
No.
That's all we've ever known. So we don't know there's any other way. Meditation, that's why satsang is true north. It's a way to bring your mind back to not knowing. So as soon as you do that, you silence the mind's ability to just grab your attention and take and run off with it into stories. They then cause you to react with everything around you. It just makes it harder. So you can feel the difficulty of being where you don't want to be, but you can let it serve you by bringing your attention back to not knowing.
Mhm.
The truth is the truth is deeper and more than I can see right now. That's
Yeah.
meditation. You're in the still point, in the silence, in the middle, while it's all happening.
Right. Sometimes I
It's not
think,
like you need to. It's not like you need to stop
no,
it, because that
no.
just makes it harder.
Sometimes, Gareth, you know me, I tell you this all the time, and Mike or whomever will listen. I I think I'm in meditation a great part of my day because I'm simply hearing or thinking what I'm thinking, or even reacting within to something that is happening or isn't happening. And I'm constantly coming back to, can I know it's true? And like, why, like asking myself, why do you care? Why are you getting caught up in that? Like, that's a form of meditation to constantly come back to yourself.
Yeah, and that's really all it is now. And the more you do that,
Hmm.
knowing that there's a self to come back to is one of the big things they've edited out through the control of information, that there is a true self. I mean, that's the whole reason why satsang is true north and why God called this whole mess we are reversing the inversion with you. That's what's really happening. It's not if humanity gets it right, we can intervene, but it's looking pretty dodgy right now. We are reversing the inversion with you. That's what's happening. And they're fighting back. They're trying to stay alive. They're trying to survive a trap they have no way out of. That's really the reality it's playing out. So knowing that that's possible, even though you can't relate to it,
Right.
just the fact that you're willing to be on a call with someone like me, you don't know what I'm saying. I mean, don't take my word for it.
Right.
But what else are you going to do? Some reason you're on this call. I've had a direct experience which I stand by, but my direct experience isn't what's important for you. Yours is. And that's the whole point. When you have direct experience where you keep pulling your attention back to not knowing, wherever you are, then everything you're going through serves you. Everything serves you. And in fact, the saying, sometimes to go somewhere properly, in other words, freedom, properly, you've got to go a long way out of the way you think it should all play out is the problem. The point of view that comes from is the very problem. So by having your attention, there's this place that's never been there before, which is not knowing any of that's really true. The reality is you can't know it's true. All the definitions that we've got about everything, we can't know they're true when you really look at them. So now you've got this still point, the way God put it, add a fifth element, spirit. That still point is the same as everything. Everything has a still point, a point of origin. So you're putting your attention back on where you really come from.
Yep. Yep.
And you're
Yep. Yep.
letting the circumstance you're playing out, being in your family at Thanksgiving, going through the hell of whether or not I'm going to go.
Oh God,
Christmas.
I know.
I'm
I
not going to
didn't
go. I
go.
am going to go. I'm not going to go. I am going to go. I went. And it was just like I thought it would be. It shouldn't have happened. I shouldn't have gone. All this, and then you come back to going, hang on a minute. Maybe the whole way I'm seeing all of it, that's the real problem. So how about I go there and let it be what it is and just come back to watching it and not knowing maybe this is serving me to go. Because if I feel like I've got to avoid circumstances to be happy, isn't that the same problem I've always had? Yeah, well, maybe there's another way. So how about I go there to Thanksgiving with this new spirit that there's something I'm missing, that when I get it, it will free me from the whole problem.
Okay, I hear you loud and clear. I feel like you're picking on me.
No, 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 I'm
So
not.
I
It's
know
just
you're
I'm
not.
hearing
I
this from
know.
everybody, everyone.
Okay. Okay. How about when you know this year? No, no, no. Next year, maybe. I'm not
Yeah,
doing this year. I have no desire
fine.
to be with people who pretend I don't exist for 364 days of the year.
Yeah. Now, your
Not doing it.
motivation,
Pretty sure they don't want me either.
and you're willing to question your motivation in that. That's all you need. It's
Full
not about
on.
what you, it's not about so much about what you do or what you don't do, but your
Right.
willingness to be wrong about it.
Right. Right. Okay, two comments I want to bring up. Mike was so sweet. He said, listening to you sharing your direct experience feels like a direct experience. He's so funny. And we were talking about, I think we were talking about protests or them manufacturing the problem and making themselves the authority to keep us okay. And Mike's like, be safe. And I found it hilarious. But the other thing is, Donna says, I know it might be too much for tonight, but maybe if Gareth could explain the inversion.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah.
That's what I said. I said I don't think that's too much at all. I think
Hmm.
it's spot on. Yeah. So I'm going to be
Yeah.
quiet and listen.
Okay. Okay. Well, reversing the inversion, it implies that there's something to invert in the first place. And that's where Tom said, God said, in answer to the question, what's the problem facing the human race at this time? He said, the ego that controls, lack of a belief in an absolute reality. The way Ramana put it, the truth of who you are is untouched by any of it. So what frees you from this, the impact of everything you've lived through that you're really angry about? Or I'm talking not you, all of us, like me included, our families, the way they've treated us, school, workplace, all of it, like the anger and pain and suffering that we've gone through. The solution to it is to realize that the one that experienced that doesn't exist, not to undo the experiences or get everyone who caused them to change. The reason that's the truth is because the truth of who you are, which can't be destroyed. That's why you've got a higher self. The fall of Atlantis shut us down to 3D. The rest of us, it's like the universe. The sum total energy of the universe never changes. The form within it is always changing, but you can't destroy energy itself, just the form it takes, which is temporary. So the truth of who we are, like I said, it's a concept, or it's a reference point that's been pretty much eradicated from our reality for that very reason. If we knew that all we had to do is surrender to the truth and all of it would take care of itself, that's the last thing they want. But that's the truth. So every time what they've done over the last 12,000 years is spin a story using their control over the flow of information throughout history. They've used religion to do it. They've used structures of different empires and societies to do it. And as our belief system and our capacity for, let's say, left brain thinking has expanded, language, they've become it's become more and more global and total. So the mainstream media, free will, they've engineered our perspective, our point of view, to take it away that there is no absolute reality. Religion causes people to react against absolute. That when we say something like absolute reality, that we're talking about religion, and this is the way it is. And anyone who doesn't agree with me is going to die. The way Islam and Christians and Hebrew are all killing each other over the truth.
Right.
That's not what absolute means. It's the natural state, that you have a natural state that cannot be destroyed. The only way you can be separated from it is to believe that you aren't that. When you're too young to have a mind that understands that. If you were allowed to live life and held properly until you were 9, that couldn't happen anymore. Your belief system would be too well connected to that consciousness, the truth of who you
Yeah.
are, for that. So it has to happen before 9. That's why the Nazarene specifically said, give me a child, let me hold any child for 9 years, really it was 9, while their belief system forms, and that's it. They're done. Those of the interference can't touch them anymore. So getting that knock-on effect of your belief system, that's the inversion, is out the way we think. The opposite of the truth of who we are, that we aren't right as we are, that we've got to be someone else. Doctors and lawyers, academics are having such a problem right now because they've invested so much time and energy in being someone who's respectable and loving and worthy because they're trying to get away from the person they feel they are.
So
That
sad.
that flaw is a false idea. It's just an idea.
It's
So
all
the absolute
inverted.
reality is the truth of who you are, and the truth of everything around us comes from it. So we connect to the absolute reality that life is beautiful and that the human race, 100%, you insist you have a human nature. It's just a concept. Everybody in your life, everybody in your family, they're all great people. They're just hit by the same problem we've been hit with. And
Yeah.
they're fighting so hard to keep that belief system because they need it to protect themselves against that fear they're running from.
Right. So we're the wrong ones to them because if we're the right ones, they're doing it all backwards and they
They have to
can't
admit,
own that.
yeah, they have to admit that their whole approach to everything is flawed, but they have nothing else. So that's why it's so hard to break. But that whole thing was done deliberately by those of the interference. That's how it works. They slowly invert reality by getting us to choose gradually over time, step by step, the opposite point of view. And
Um,
all we do is put all of our creative energy into making that real. So anyway, I hope that helps.
I was just gonna ask Donna to put in the chats if she could, if that helped, and if you had needed more understanding to maybe give something specific. But I
The
think that
inversion,
the inv
the inversion is our sense of reality, is inverted from the
it's
real reality, the true nature of reality. We have an
right
inverse
inverted by design,
belief,
intentionally
yeah.
by those of the interference because
But
they need okay,
it's a sell job that relies on us buying it to
buying it.
exist,
Right. If we hadn't given away, if
which
we hadn't allowed, it couldn't happen. Like that, we
which
are the battery.
well, yeah, that's right. They sell it to us, but we buy it, and that's why the path of self-inquiry is so powerful. That's why turning back in on who you bought a lie, how and why, and who am I without that lie? When you do that, you break their ability to function.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where all the power is. That's where all our power is. The power to change everything that's going on out there, to change everything that's happened in your family, is in that. You go back to question that you go back to that moment you left yourself and you come back to who you are through it, it's all over. And how do you do that? By letting all of the experiences that trigger that feeling take you through the feeling. That question, what's
Right.
the real truth, takes you through the experience. You're not ducking and diving and avoiding things anymore. Now they go from being to reinforcing the problem to undoing it. The exact same situations, the same
E-
problems, the same power clashes, the same relationship problems, the same every single problem that you've got in your life goes from being a wall to a doorway as soon as you're willing to question it, and everything around you falls apart. The whole paradigm is collapsing because too many people are doing that, and it's accelerating.
Thank God. Thank God. Because even though there isn't a problem, reversing the problem that isn't is really hard. I've talked about this on many shows because
Mhm.
you say that, like, when you see it, like, then you can do those things without that trigger. When you know your own mind, you know all minds, right? But I'm still not in a place where I want to go spend time with these people. This is not the year for
No,
this for me. And that's okay. I have to be okay with it. You're not telling everybody to go do those things that make them
no, no, no,
horribly uncomfortable or abused or
no, no,
targets.
not at all.
No, I just wanted to clarify that because it's really hard when you're in this vulnerable position where you look crazy to all your former friends and family that it's okay to be like I think I sent you an Alan Watts yesterday. I mean, today I sent you one, but I think I sent you one yesterday or a couple of days ago that Anne had sent me, and it was all about spiritual people all over the world are disappearing because they don't want to play in the game, but
Mm.
trying to not play in the game while being in the game is painful. It's physically uncomfortable. It is like until
Yeah.
it's not. And I understand. I understand like it's all an illusion. But it's still we're experiencing that. Reversing the inversion is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I look batshit crazy. I'm all by myself. My best friend is in Melbourne. Like, what? Who are you? What is fucking happening? Like, this is
Yeah,
like all these people in the chats. I think I've met like two in person, and they're my family.
yeah.
You
Well,
know what I'm saying? Like, this is insanity. What's
that's the
happening
thing.
is but let me just say one thing real fast before I forget, because Mia Lisa B says, "Hi, Kate is awake. I've been enjoying these conversations between you and Gareth. So great. Thank you both." So I
Thank
just
you.
did not want to forget to say that. But back to what you're going to say, because I don't want you to lose it. This is really hard. We're like what we're being asked to do, what we agreed to do. This is some next level shit.
That's the thing. Now, what does reversing inversion? What's our experience? Feet on the ground, ordinary human being, just trying to get it through life. Like, what does that look like? Because this is the thing. What's never happened before is the street level. This whole transition is street level. It's ordinary people doing it. It's not about big end of town or any of that. It's about the ordinary human being transforming fully at the street level. So what does it look like? Turning around and facing your pain, which means even though it's not real, the only way to get there is through the pain that
Through the
feels real,
pain,
that
it
looks
feels
real, that is everything
exactly.
except not real.
Yes.
But that's why the importance of having that question, yeah, but can I know it's true? What's the truth? Whilst you're going through that very problem. The problem we've got is that reversing the inversion is all about the inversion, not what's on the other side. And the way Ramana put it, you can't let it go. All you can do is be willing to see it and it will let you go. So again, that's the power of being willing to let life put you in all those situations that you didn't want to be in until you don't care anymore. The way Ramana put it, find the one who cares. It'll find you.
Yep.
Why
Yep.
is it so important that everybody has to be a certain way so that I can be happy? Well, because it's a reflection of us. We have to be a certain way to be lovable. And that's not true. The
No.
only way the impact that that's had on us throughout our life has to be felt. because we don't have time when you're a 14-year-old kid going through puberty and being rejected by girls or boys and bullied. You don't know what you're going through. You don't have time to feel it and process it at the time. So when you hit this spiritual crisis that we're all going through, those feelings are what come up. Getting all of that past locked up, emotional energy up and into your awareness. So that's why it looks like everything you thought it shouldn't be is real for a while, but
Yeah.
only for a while.
Well,
If
and
you're
only
willing,
for a while. You've told me that it's kept me alive on the planet. You've told me that repeatedly, that everything that we're reversing, seeing, experiencing pain through is finite. Love is
yeah,
infinite. That's like one of the things I like super
yeah,
hold on to. Real fast, Reed, this is really funny. I don't remember what we were talking at the time they said this, but they're like, time for a refund, LOL. Lifetime, lifetime warranty on faulty parts.
yeah.
So, I knew at the time when they wrote it what they were talking about, and it's just really, really funny. And then Donna says, how are we helping to reverse the inversion when we retreat away from everyone? And then she wrote, Gareth just answered my question, because exactly what God said is the meditation, the 18 minutes, the contemplation to removing your attention from what's happening out there and giving it to yourself, removing yourself from what's happening out there
Yeah.
takes the energy that we were giving to them before we were awake, and it returns it to ourselves, and that has a ripple effect we can't see. We're used to seeing our progress and our achievements and our accolades and our rewards, but these things, because we are one being consciously, it ripples out in ways we can't even.
Yeah, and I mean that's what happens. It's counterintuitive, absolutely. We because remember the whole paradigm is based on doing, the distortion of what doing is. So all of our ability to act is based on being someone we're not, getting away from someone we're not.
Yeah.
We don't want to be, which is a false idea. So all the action that we put into the world from being a kid simply creates the very thing we're trying to get away from. So to get out from under it, you've got to stop participating in creating the inversion, which is the way we've always operated. But that's all we know.
Yep.
So um, coming back to there is another way is through not knowing, because all of that way of operating is I know what I need to do. It's this. Once I get here, then everything will be all right. So it's all based on the idea that we look into a situation and we know what it is that quickly. We have to categorize everything. It's all based on fight or flight. You haven't got time to stop and reflect when you're running from a tiger in the jungle. You've got to assess and categorize everything. How far away is it? Is a threat? Prioritizing. So we're used to meeting situations in life, but making a snap decision. So we miss so much. We miss everything. But we
Everything.
reinforce the feeling that we're
Right.
trying to get away from, which is fear.
Yes.
So to
Yes.
undo that is to stop categorizing everything and just believing the category, which lets the fear out, which means you're not running from the tiger anymore. Instead, you turn around and face it, and it's running full pelt at you. And the way Ramana put it, the only way to know fear isn't real is to let it come and get you. And the tiger goes, disappears right as it hits you. It disappears. So that's what all of us are going through, that meeting death, the end of everything we know. There's nothing else to replace it. But that's the gap that we're afraid of when we're kids. Fear of the unknown, my doubt about life. There's a whole lot out there I haven't met yet, and I doubt it. I doubt my ability to meet it. So coming back to that gap and being held in it, not knowing, I don't know. And I'm willing not to know while my mind's screaming all the same old definitions. It's intense as, hell.
Oh, it's awful.
It's so intense. That intensity burns up the false self. And
Okay.
it's only got so much energy because like everything in the universe that was created, it started at a certain point. It has a beginning and an end. It doesn't, it's
Yep.
not eternal. But the
Even if,
consciousness
yeah.
you operate, you are, that's eternal. Yeah.
That's
So it
eternal,
brings it
right?
up.
And it's what you were saying on the call earlier with Lisa, the subconscious. It's subconscious.
You
Like you
can't
don't
see it.
even know, you can't see it. You don't even know the age at which something happened to you. But Alan Watts in that video that I shared in the chats and that I shared with you today, and that like I just keep listening on repeat that Anne sent me, talks about the rage, the anger, when the awakened sensitive soul wakes up and sees how they were carrying everyone else's and didn't even know who they were. And then the rage and the anger around that, and sequestering yourself away from others and the external noise, and asking yourself, who am I? What do I even like? What do I even think about this?
Yeah.
I spent 51 years not thinking for myself. Like
Mm.
it's crazy. It's
Well, that's
crazy when you see it.
yeah, I mean, it's a subconscious motivation for sure, absolutely. And that's preyed upon by our own ignorance is preyed upon by other people, but they're just trying to deal with the same scenario. Um,
Sure,
so
sure.
the
There's no
anger,
blame.
it's important to let the anger be there. Yeah, it's fine, and it's okay to have blame too. That's very, 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 very important to let what is be there.
Yep.
Good, bad, indifferent, like the feeling, thinking, everything that we've got inside us. If we try to edit it, we're just doing the same old thing. We're just spiritual people fall into this trap all the time, where you love and light it away. It doesn't work. It's just suppression. It's just the
Yes.
spiritual. It's just the light.
It's a
It's just the
spiritual
same.
form of
It's
suppression.
it's it's just yeah. It's just the same problem in another
Yeah,
caftan. We're in a
yeah, it's
caftan.
wearing
So
different clothes. It's the same
yeah,
problem,
same
different
problem.
clothes.
So
Spiritual
so
community is rife with that stuff.
so
Yeah,
let it
go
be
on.
there. Let the energy and the emotional energy be there. Let it all be there. And what will happen is you'll release more and more of it because you're opening that the ability not to know, no matter what your mind says, no matter what the experience is, every single thing you think you know. If you knew what to do, you would do it. And if you ever knew what to do, you wouldn't be in this situation in the first place.
Right.
So, what do you
Right.
know about anything at all? Now, that's extremely disoriented. And you do know a lot. But you
Sure.
don't know which is which. You don't know which is which at all. You've got no
No.
idea which is right, which is wrong, which way is up, whatever. And that has to be allowed. When you argue with what is, you suffer. That's the truth. When you are that old, that when you're that young, you didn't know what the gap was and what you were doing. It's the same thing. So
Yeah.
you're releasing all the emotional energy that's been trapped in you over time because you've been unresolved. Situation after situation, you couldn't resolve yourself with life.
No.
That can't that 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 situation cannot be escaped. You have to be fully resolved in every moment because that's everything is one. So those moments have to be allowed to have their day in the sun, in other words. That anger
Sure.
has to be released. So anger is the pain of separation expressed. It's the pain of separation from self. When you first left yourself, the pain and suffering that
Oh,
caused. See, that's the cause of the suffering, not the catalyst that triggers it, the people.
sure.
Now, getting clear on that, it's the same, the first law of problem solving is to know what the problem is and how to solve it.
Sure.
So when you know that the pain of separation of self from self was when you bought a lie that you were the problem from your parents and your teachers and everyone around you because they reacted against you simply because they got the same problem. That's a
Right.
lie. So you come back to that moment where you realize the truth that was never it was never about you, but you can't will yourself to be there. You can only let life
No.
take you there one step at a time through
Yes.
all of the layers that you have no idea existed.
None. I'm constantly telling you I have so much rage and I'm not sure why, what, who, where. And you're like, you will, you will, you will.
Yeah,
But
give
like
up.
earlier on the call before this call, we were talking and you asked her to like, go ahead, judge the crap out of your son. Judge. She didn't want to. I
Mm.
don't blame her. You had to bring that out of me because she's still viewing it as like the truth, like how she feels. If I say it, it's how I feel or how he is. When she's trying to defend how and who and how wonderful
Yeah,
he is, and he absolutely is, and so is my son. But I can now vent to you, judge the crap out of him, say awful things about him and everyone, all while knowing the truth. But I have to express the emotion within because otherwise I'm just suppressing it.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is that all she was doing is arguing with herself. So there's
Right.
a split where she wants to say something, or there's a feeling that needs to have
But
words.
I better not.
Well, yeah, there's a feeling that needs to have that has. Tom said it's important to name it. There's a feeling that runs all of this that needs to have words put to it. And the
It's important
first
to name it.
the first layer of experience we have of that feeling is the programming we've been given that's negative. So those are the only words we come up with. They're not really the core words, but that's you got to start with those words though. They'll take you through a process all the way back to the core. But there's the other self that argues with it, spiritualizes you out of it. That oh, I'm not
Yep.
so I couldn't say that. That's wrong.
Spiritualizes you out of
So
it. Exactly.
you just
It's
all
all
you've
love
done
and
is
light, brother.
all you've done is reinforce it. You haven't
Yes.
freed yourself from it, and and this gridlock where you've got nowhere to go, you can't feel anything anymore is the net result. So that's why one of the big things with Byron Katie is judge your neighbour, go to town on them, and then
Yep.
turn it around. Because what are we looking for? We're looking for all the layers of judgment, self-judgment that we've got since we were not right as we are. Well, why are we not right as we are? And what's wrong with us? And how do we do differently? And why do I keep failing? And we keep describing and judging ourselves in these descriptions, which are subconscious. So they express themselves sideways in patterns. So addictions, patterns of behavior, relationship problems, and reactionaryism with people. Certain people trigger us. That's because these self judgments are trying to point back to us to the real problem. But we don't see it that way. We see it about them and everything out there. So the way to break that hold is to realize that it all comes from me first. And it was never true. But the only way I'm going to know that is to just see the judgments I've had of myself by looking at the way I judge everybody else and turning it around. There's an art to doing it. It's not always obvious. There's a way to sort of take that first judgment, and then often people will say, well, that's not me, there's no way I'm like that. But there's a
Right.
way to kind of mine into the judgment. What does that say about them? What does someone who acts that way have to feel about themselves? How would you describe that? There's ways to get under it, to find the mirror.
Yeah.
There's always a mirror.
There's
Otherwise,
always
they
a
wouldn't.
mirror.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have the connection.
The one thing that I like to say, and some people can get it and some people don't, is that everything in the world, everyone in the world, every experience in your world is simply you pushed out.
Hmm.
It's you pushed out. How you read it, how it makes you feel, how you respond to it. Every single thing in your field is you pushed out.
Now, what
And
does that do?
mm,
It puts a whole layer of false reality between us and the divine order. So we can't see the truth anymore. All we see is our projection.
right.
So,
But when you
re-
see it, you
so re-
can
yeah, well, so reversing the inversion means getting that belief system out of the way so you can see what everything actually is. But the only way
exactly.
to do that is to look in to the point of origin of the projection,
Right.
which is our own
Right.
self-judgment. And there's a
The mirror.
what we're seeing in front of us and the self-judgment work together. So by being willing to question your mind definition is that's what actually happens. Now you're going to feel like you're getting nowhere because you can't do it. All you can do is look at it and know there's an answer. You just can't see it yet. And that's
Yep.
tough because like I said, you keep on releasing layers of emotion by doing that. But the fog starts to clear at a certain point. And one of the big moments is when you realize that you've been guided and you've read that guidance, when you see the purpose behind some of the experiences you've gone through that you didn't see at the time, you realize I just had a click. I just saw something in my family dynamic. I was at a barbecue and it was crazy because the same old stuff was going on, but it's like I could see the pain in my uncle, the alcoholic who used to just abuse me. Suddenly it was like I could see this little kid just crying on his own in a bedroom. I don't know where that came from, but you click with a whole series of experiences that you went through and you realize, wow, hang on a minute. Now I get why I had to leave the job or go into the job, or now I get why my finances fell apart and I was forced to move state. And then I got into that crazy situation with those weird people, and it's somehow I made friends with them, and I didn't see the connection, but it's changed something in the way, this is what I'm talking about.
Sure.
The
Sure.
epiphany comes
You see
later.
the dots come together.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. There's got to be a gap. You've got to let the gap be there of not knowing. That gap is it's where it all lives and dies. If you fill the gap with the same old definitions because you're afraid of yourself and life, you're not going to get anywhere. Letting the gap be there, I don't know,
Which,
kills the inversion like nothing can.
yes, which is really hard in this world when nobody else is. Right, right, right. I get it. I'm with you. You know me. I'm with you. I'm living the gap for years now. But like, whew,
It's tough. And you're still waiting for that big epiphany that frees you.
yeah,
And
I
you're
know.
arguing with life about it and you're doubting yourself about it. And that's the whole point. The
I
arguing with life,
know.
the doubt comes from the same place. You need to keep
I know.
filling the gap with why. When is it? That self-arguing with life has to die.
Yes.
And
And
that's
it's
that's what's
dying
happening.
every day. It's
When you stop
dying.
arguing, see it when you
Yeah.
stop arguing with life, everything goes bang.
Yep.
Because it
Yep.
was always perfect. That's the thing. It was always perfect. We just didn't see it that way. We were
Just
arguing with life, and
no.
so much of the suffering comes from that.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy when you see it. So Janelle even said, to be honest, if I would have known the rage that came along with finding my truth, I might have avoided waking up.
Yeah,
And
totally.
Donna agreed with her, and I agree
Yeah.
with her. Like if I had known that this la 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 Katie would have been so full of murderous rage for no apparent reason, I might have stayed asleep. But there's also the part of me that's like, absolutely not. Would not trade the awareness for anything. And I can say that now, even in my darkest days. I can say that now. So if I can say that now and continue to hold the gap, number one, anybody can. And number two, oh, what's coming is glorious.
Mhm.
So glorious. You have to believe that. Well, you don't have
Oh,
to do
massive.
anything, but I don't even mean you. I mean the collective you, like
That's what I'm
what's
talking about, the massive.
coming? Massive.
Oh, I mean, just like your own personal history is built on a lie, and so much of it, it doesn't mean you're going to lose absolutely everything, but you don't know which way, you don't know which what's forest and what's trees, what's baby and bathwater. But just like our own personal history is so different to the reality we've been living through, the whole human race, the story of the human race is going to be rewritten. I mean, this transformation is not a small one. Everything's going to change on a massive scale.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter who anyone is, where they are, where they stand on anything, everyone has to meet the reality of the truth of who they are and where they are, which means they're going to have to go through the reality of the lie
Yep.
first. Well, it's
Yep.
all about that. Ramana said, don't advise anyone to get on the spiritual path because of that. You have to choose it. You can't tell your parents, you can't tell your friends and your family, wake up. They have to be
No.
ready. They're just going to fight you harder. So it's time for everyone. We can all step back a bit now. It's
Right.
it's it's time for us to go to the next level and look at ourselves. Who am I being right now in this reaction against them? And stay with that. Keep your attention on yourself. And if you want to say a word here or a word there, that's one thing. But
Sure.
it's okay to be silent too. There's nothing you can do to convince anybody to get on the spiritual path, and that's the worst thing you can do because it's not going to work. It won't work anyway. So it's all right for all of us to step back from that now and let life take care of everything.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going to happen.
I again feel picked on because you know me so much better than I know myself, and I wanted to send that Alan Watts to my family chat, and you said, "Oh, if only they'd listen to it."
Yeah, don't bother. Don't, but they will.
Don't
They'll
even
have to.
bother. Right, right,
Reality,
right. Every
they're going to
once in
be
a
on
while,
them.
I know you say that all the time, and it always makes me feel better because I love them so much and I miss them. But every once in a while, like I didn't send that. I told you I wanted to
Yeah,
send it.
I know.
But usually when I tell you I want to send it, I just want to get it out of me that I want to send it and then I don't need to. But there have been a few that I absolutely have to send, like the Elizabeth Gilbert talking about the lonely times in her life where she had to be the one in the middle of the night telling herself what nobody else was telling her. And that was, I love you. You could be depressed for the rest of your life, and I'm right here. I don't care. I've got you. You're perfect. Da, 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 like this whole thing. And I was like, I'm sending it. Like,
Right, yeah.
nobody answered.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I wouldn't have even watched it. They probably deleted it as a. But look, I mean, that is another version of the gap. Like letting that gap be there between everybody you loved and you while you go through this transition, while the intensity plays out. Because realize one thing, they can't let you get away with it. They don't want
No.
to let you. I'm talking about euphemistically, you, me.
Yes, yes, I
I'm
know.
not
I
saying
know.
you specifically. They don't want us to get away with it because in their heart they know we're true, we're right. And
Yes,
they don't want to be
yes.
wrong. They can't be
There,
wrong because they would have to feel the fear would have to come and get them.
absolutely. We are triggering their resistance. We're doing what they currently don't have the courage to do because
Yeah, but they
within them
will.
they know the truth. But they will. They will. There's no race, there's no hierarchy, none of that. It's so funny. Mike just said get someone else to send it to them. And I told you
Ooh,
the other day, and I started bawling. Remember what I told you the other day? What Roseanne offered?
which time?
I know, right? We gotta stop talking every single day. No, we don't.
No. Um,
Roseanne has loved me since we met in person in Texas and then again in Chicago. And she's just this lovely mama, nurturing mama. She has all these kids and she's a housewife in Chicago. And she and I are always like, I was so wrapped up in the Matrix. I believed all of it. If I can wake up, anybody can wake up. And I listen to her talk about her world and her people, and she listens to me cry about my world and my people. And she says, "Oh, let me talk to them. I'll talk to them for you. I'll tell
yeah,
them
that's
all
right.
the things." And you almost started crying. You gasped. You were like,
Mm.
"Oh," because it was like the most generous, loving, mama bear, caring thing that I think
Mm.
anybody's like offered since my
Yeah,
awakening.
well, no one else really said anything like that, did they? So
Nobody
yeah,
said anything
the
like that.
intention
And
behind it
not
was
that
beautiful.
the intention is what brought me to tears and probably brought you to a gasp because I would never expect anybody to do that, but for a perfect stranger who doesn't know any of them to say I really would love to tell them wonderful things. And I was like, okay. I gotta unplug from the world and take that in. It was just the most loving thing I had heard in a long time.
Yeah, it was nice of her.
Yeah, it was something that I would do. Like, I'm all about like righting wrongs and defending and my rage is I think not being defended, not being spoken for when I couldn't speak for myself. I got a lot
Yeah,
of
and
rage.
again, turning that
I
around,
know. I didn't speak for
there's
myself.
yeah, there's an art to doing that, of course, and holding that, just even holding that perspective as possible shifts something deep in your subconscious, so that another layer gets opened up. It's the spiral thing. Your emotional body goes deeper and deeper and deeper in a spiral, so it gets narrower, so it gets tighter because the deeper you go, the less you've got to work through. But at
Yes,
times, the more intense it is because it's older, so it's more embedded.
right, right. And you know I hold that higher perspective. It was just, yeah, it's relinquishing its hold on me.
Well, we hold both perspectives, and that's the whole thing. Allowing room for the higher perspective and the truth to be there, while the lower perspective gets challenged by it. That's what a lot of people get blocked with. It's not so much about using the higher perspective to remove the lower perspective. It's about using the higher perspective to see and discern the lower perspective,
Yes,
which you can't do unless you're willing to let it be there.
right.
So spirituality gets that really wrong. A lot of people are really they're just like that analogy that I was given by the Arcturians. We're born being, pure being. It is, we are, that's it. Ramanas said, so he said, who, someone asked him, who are you? He said, I am that I am. Not who I am or what I am, I'm that. The fact that I exist, that's who I am. Existence, pure being, that's the reality. I saw that when I
Right,
was two.
right.
Then we get put in a situation that makes us feel like we're not right as we are. So we can't just be who we are. So we go through doing, being, doing. So they showed me a coin vertically. So being pure being on the left side, the coin is like this. So one side of the coin, which we spend half our life doing, is it's all about what you do. So we're being, doing, the job, and you're either successful or failure, but it's all about doing. Then you bottom out, you hit the top. Really, you bottom out because you realize no matter what you've done, you haven't got anywhere. You're still alone. You're still scared, or whatever it is. You're still it's still futile
Yeah,
for sense of utility. So you've lost yourself. So then you go through doing, being. That's the spiritual thing. So that's what tends to happen. You're looking for this higher perspective and using it to get rid of the lower perspective, which is the same thing, just
yep,
exactly the same thing, no different. The whole point is to go through that spiritual process, which a lot of us have been going through, where where you're trying to edit yourself again to be the person you should be or you were, pure being, and then you bottom out again because you realize you got nowhere with spirituality either. A lot of people are getting very disillusioned,
oh
and
yeah,
that's perfect. This is Ramana said because it's all a state of mind. Trying to
yes,
do something is all about belief system, the gap, the matrix. It's all the idea that fear is a concept, an
yeah,
idea. The doubt is a concept.
yeah,
So the idea collapses, and then you come back to being. So this he called that state of mind, the last one. Disillusionment is the final state. So if you're feeling like everywhere you look is nothing, you can't feel anything anymore again, it's all just dark or the same. That's the perfect place to be right now because you're struggling to find yourself in the right context, which has got nothing to do with doing anything. In fact,
nothing,
that's just made it problem real.
right.
It's just you've got no reference point for what pure being is as an adult.
No,
But by giving your free will back to source, give it all to God and say, I got no idea what to do, but I know you're real. I've got no idea what that is either. There's a whole lot of distortion around the whole thing about God, but okay, I know you're real and you can hear me. So I'm just going to give it to you. Just bring me what I need and show me what I need. And now you're looking for it.
yeah,
You're not trying to tell
yep,
everything what it should be.
sure.
And the magic in that is I cannot overstate it.
And even the pain, even the struggle, even the rage, even the confusion, that
It's all part of it.
is the answer.
It
That
is
is God listening.
letting
Yeah,
it be there.
yeah,
And all the situations that trigger it, now you're letting it be there. So all the situations that trigger it, which have always is what you thought, just why you had to get rid of people and places and things out of your experience, they're going to come to you and trigger it. But you've got this question now, yeah, but what's the real truth? Because I've tried everything. So all my attitude and the whole way I've approached these situations hasn't worked. So what's the real truth? So there's a part of you that's passive now, watching,
yeah,
and that's the sacred masculine. discernment is the key. Going from judgment to discernment is the key.
Yeah.
So you're looking at it, trying to discern the reality of what you're in, the experience you're in, and not just relying on the same old perspective. But you haven't got another one. That's hard, like we
Yeah.
keep saying. But that's
Yeah.
what starts to happen is you're taken through a very, by God, you're taken through a very precise series of experiences,
Yeah.
exactly timed and designed to pull you through the process, reverse engineer the process you
Yeah.
went through, you
Yeah.
individually went through. Each of us have our own
Yep.
version,
It's unique to us.
and
And
you won't
Donna just
see
says all of it is the answer. All
all
of
of it.
it.
It's
Yep.
not called, God isn't called the all it is for nothing. We just think it's something else, and that thinking is in front of us, not reality. The thinking reflected back to us is what we're seeing, not the reality of what we're seeing. Getting
Yep.
out from our own thinking, you can't do that with your mind.
Yep.
You can only question the mind because that's where all the thinking comes from.
Right.
And that's what's been taken out of our thinking and consciousness are not the same thing.
No.
Thoughts are finite. And who was aware of the first thought you ever had? Thoughts are based on language.
Right.
You can't think I am hot without knowing the words to say the thought.
Are
Thoughts are
some thoughts consciousness? No.
no. Pure consciousness is before, during, and after all thought.
Wow.
Thought can't. That's the. It's a.
No
It's.
wonder I'm
I think it's a.
homesick.
It's a. We're made in the image and likeness of God. We're a reflection of the universe in that sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the raw energy isn't the form, but the form comes from it.
Did you watch the movie Wish yet? Do you watch
No,
anything I tell you to watch?
not really.
Why
I
not?
look because there's just too much going on, way too much going on, and because look, I'm going through this, and so is my partner, and our life purpose, and everything we've lived through is crystallizing, and that's a lot. That's a lot.
I
Believe me, it's a
know.
lot.
I
We're
know.
connecting to a layer of our personal soul purpose, which
I see.
is pretty mind blowing. And so, yeah, my wife and I have been debriefing. She's coming into her power in a way that's,
Oh.
and so I've got to be available to that and work full time and deal with this and you name it. And
Okay, you have a
social,
month off now.
it's way too much. You end up just disconnecting, and
Yeah, I know.
the price you pay for that takes away from your ability to process everything. So you got to be really. It's just too much, too overwhelming. But
Yeah.
I that's not to discount the value of what you're saying at all. But you can tell me about it.
No, I'm good. No, there's just like so much truth in it. And you are all as a star. It's throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, God said that. You
Yeah,
are
I
all
know.
as a star.
I know.
Mhm.
And it's just beautiful. And I cried like a blubbering baby. So the ego, Katie's ego came into it earlier when you were talking Ramana and somebody asked who he was, and he says, I am that I am. And we all are simply because we are. And the ego was like, well, wait a minute, is anybody special?
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
it's
I
it.
kind of
Everyone,
like being special. I kind of
yeah,
like, knowing some
and
shit
separate,
first and
which
separate.
which gets back to the one that fell.
Right, exactly. At least I catch myself.
We all have the one that fell. That's the ego that controls. The
Yeah.
ego in service to self is the Nazarene,
Yep.
and the one that fell is the one who's only self-serving. We
The
can
ego that controls is the one who fell,
self-serving
and the ego in service to uppercase S self is the Nazarene.
to
Okay.
the truth, the divine order. So the mind in service to the consciousness the mind arises in is another way to look at it. Yeah, but that's why getting free of the ego that controls is what destroys the matrix around us. When you can see through all of it to your family, the you see you don't care anymore about their reactionaryism because you don't
Nope.
take it personally. When you can see through that to their heart, because you've seen through your own heart, everywhere you look, that's what you'll see. It has no hold on you.
You told me that. I think I've asked you repeatedly over the years, Gareth, will they know? Will they know what I did in my case, or what all of you did? Will they know? And you're like, of course, absolutely. And at the time that they know, you won't care that they know.
Yeah, you just don't know. They cancel each other out.
They cancel each other out. And I totally understand that. I totally understand that because there's a part of me that wants so much for it to be peaceful and I just want to hug them. I don't care what it takes or what anybody knows if I can get my love
Yeah,
and my family back. I don't
yeah.
care. Yeah.
They drop it all, and your need for them to drop it
Drop it
drops.
all. Please.
Then who
It's
cares? I mean, they just
crazy.
look at you. You can see the look in their eyes when they look at you. Finally, they can see you. And that's the way the Palladians describe what's coming on the other side of the frequency wars, which is what we've been going through, which is coming to an end over the next 3, 4 months. They said, you'll finally be able to see and hear each other. 12,000 years of projection and killing and arguing and fighting and blaming
Yep.
just dissolves.
Dissolves. Oh, I can't wait. You look sleepy, Gareth. I'm sleepy. I've been yawning this whole time, but I told you my
Oh,
yawns are hearing truth.
well, I wake up at 5:30, but I
I
feel
woke
right.
up at 5. You do? Okay.
Yeah.
I wake up at 5.
I'm still like I've got a month off, but I had to work an 8-day week the last week, and it was it was very busy. Like that always happens when I have to take a break.
Of
Is the
course.
final week before I take the break is the most intense of all of them.
It's just like what you say to me when I'm especially dark or sad or suicidal or whatever. You say, Katie, it's darkest before the dawn. And then you say, I swear to God, you're going to have a break. I can tell you're going to have a break.
Oh, look, when you internalize that you're guided and you have the ability to meet that guidance, it's all over. You're still going through it,
I know.
but
I don't want to go
but
through
you're but you're at peace with the fact that there's a process, and that changes a lot.
it. I know.
You're not just like, is there going to be any way, is there a way out? And like you're completely in a pit. You're actually connected to the fact that there's a process playing out, and it's revealing itself all the time. But now you're not arguing with it, or you're not. There's a peace that comes with it anyway that keeps
Yeah, I
growing.
know. I
But
know.
that having a direct experience of that moment where it's internalized, where you have that epiphany. Oh, okay. Like I described with the barbecue analogy, there's all sorts of ways
Yes.
it comes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's like with the awakening when I'm out and about and loving humanity so much I can't even stand it. Love all of them and all of their anger and sadness and joy and whatever. I love them so much I can't stand it. It's you can see right through like however they're behaving is from their wound or their life experiences. And so
Right,
it doesn't matter. How, that's not the truth. The
right.
truth of who you are, I love to death.
Yeah. And like we keep saying, you've just got to be willing to go through the exact opposite, all the thinking and feelings of the exact opposite. Just knowing that it has a role when you ask for the truth and everything serves that question now, even the bad stuff. And in fact,
Even the
especially the
bad
bad
stuff.
stuff,
Yeah,
especially
especially.
as long as you're willing to allow room for there to be a truth that isn't all of the just definitions you've got about it. Let them all be there, let the feeling be there, and then question the
I do
thinking.
it all the time. I do it like in every living moment with the contractor, with the Amish carpenter, with the person at the shop, with my mother.
Mm.
I tell it to you, I rage at you, and then I tell you how inaccurate I got it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean, right?
but you've got to let it out.
But you gotta let it out. My father's nickname for probably most of his adult life was loud and inaccurate. I come by it all so honestly. He
Oh,
was
that's
such a
brilliant.
a joyous, terrifying, sad, excited, complex man that it's really
Mm.
hard to describe him. But loud
Wow.
and accurate fit the bill most of the time, which was funny because he was brilliant as well in the term in society's idea of brilliance. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
He was pretty
Wow.
brilliant in many ways, but yeah. So
Uh,
anyway, want to call it?
yeah. No, any questions before we
Any more
call it?
questions? Donna, she's so sweet. I love that. Be at peace with the process. So many aha things tonight, she says.
Great. Yeah. Be at peace with them. Let that
Yeah,
fear be that, let the only way to know, this is a good one, man, when I heard this. Ramana Maharshi, the only way to know fear isn't real is to let it come and get you. So the fear of what's playing out in the world right now
and
and the fear
and in our individual lives.
and the connection between them.
Right, right. We're
It's not real.
microcosms of the whole thing.
That's how you question the mind.
Yeah,
When someone like that says that, you've got to allow room for it to be true, even if you can't relate to it.
absolutely.
When a master of life says this is the way to look at it, just allow room for it to be true.
Yeah, yeah. And don't forget the 18 minutes of meditation a day. Because I was just thinking about it with the community I'm in, Alex Zech's The Way Forward, the night before the hurricane, the second hurricane that was supposed to like demolish parts of Florida. Around the world, people gathered to pray and meditate for that. And we're absolutely certain, we know in our bones that we diffused that storm and it was nothing they thought it was. And Tom said that very specifically in the book, the meditation, pray for your world leaders.
Mm,
Pray for them. And Aaron Abke just did, I don't know if it's over yet. It was like December 3rd till maybe the 10th. Maybe today was the last day. I don't remember. I signed up and actually it was a technological shit show, so I didn't attend one thing, but it was a 7 day daily interviews and live events and all this stuff called Awaken the Christ Within. And I think 2 nights of the event were literally meditations for our world leaders. And
mm.
I thought that's just beautiful.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
who needs our prayer more than someone so detached from their true self that they have to control and own and hurt
Yes, that's
everything?
a, that's a really good way to do it actually. And I was shown one of the things Tom said to me was you may ask for a protective beam of white light from Altea, and I do that like I've just been doing it
Me
like
too.
this morning. Something will pop in like today it was China and digital ID with Australia, and I'll say. May I please have a protective beam of white light from Altea for China, that the truth of who they are and the life they were born to live comes to them, transforming everything connected to them.
Oh, I
So
love that,
anytime,
Gareth.
anything like that, and I do that for people. I'm walking down the street, I'll see someone and they'll catch my eye. So I ask for a protective beam of white light from Altea for them, that all the love, all the abundance and the truth of who they are comes to them quickly and easily and spreads to everyone they're connected to. And you can do that wherever you go. In traffic, I'll react to someone cutting me off and then I'll come back, love and light, brother, sister. You are not the enemy. May I please have a protective beam of white light from you? Just having that intention. So all your creative energy comes out of the reaction and goes into the solution.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. When you take that rage and not in the bypassy suppressing way, when you take that rage or that response, reaction, whatever, and transmute it into true, authentic love and compassion and forgiveness, which forgiveness, you know how I feel about that, but you know what I mean. you're breaking the matrix in every living moment.
every
In
way.
every living moment. And I just gotta say, Mike said, "Did you just say let the bear come and get you?"
Fear.
And Donna corrected him and told him it was let the fear come and get you. He knew. He's just being Mike.
Oh,
And Rebus heard you say, love and light, brother, sister, you are not the enemy, and the protective white light of Altea, and said, light workers be light working.
yeah,
LOL.
yeah, yeah. It does a lot more than you realize.
Oh my goodness, it absolutely does. It does more
Like you
than
said,
I.
the storm dissipating, the
Mhm.
energy. This is one thing the Avatar armor said, and this is what always happens with avatars, and they've been here doing this the whole time for 12,000 years, is they do this very thing to dissipate the impact of those of the interference to keep it, the way she put it, keep all the planes in the air. It's just an analogy. So
Sure.
like the energy. So if the more people do what she's doing and avatars do,
Yep.
it has the same impact. So their ability, for instance, that's why the plan they're rolling out, those are the interference are rolling out, especially around COVID, is having the opposite effect because too many of us are operating this way. We're
Yes.
seeing we're seeing what's happening in front of us, and we're admitting that our life's fallen apart. We don't know what to do, and we're watching it all. A part of us is watching it all whilst we're going through the same dynamic we always have. But there's a part of us that's watching it, and that discernment, darkness in physics is an absence of light. It can't operate. That demon, this whole thing about the shadow, it needs us to believe it is something without question. But as soon as you put the question there, it can't operate anymore because the
Right.
question asking you shall receive, you'll receive the answer. And there's nothing they can do about it when free will has to be honored. When we choose to, we want to know the truth. That has to be honored. So everything they're doing is serving that being
Serving that.
exposed now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh my God,
the
I
more you
love
do
that.
that, the more powerful and the less it works, the more it gets exposed and the faster it happens. That's why it's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
It looks passive, but it's the most active thing you can
It's the
do.
most active thing you can do. 18 minutes a day, everybody. You guys got it?
Yeah, yeah. That's why
I
COVID,
just
the
love it.
Arcturians, yeah, the Arcturians telling me in 20, this is our summer, so January 2019, 2018, way before COVID happened, well,
Right.
a year or whatever. The final point of their plan is their most vulnerable point. They will lose control of the narrative because we'd already woken up. We'd already chosen to wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And that question, like I had when in 97 when I hit the wall and I could die right now and I wouldn't care. I don't know who you are or where you are, but I know that you are. Please help me. And then everything in front of me was like, is this the solution? Maybe I'll step this way and see. It brought it to me.
Yeah. I
I
know.
didn't
I know.
need to work it out. In fact,
You
the
didn't
less I
need
tried to
to.
work it out, the quicker it
The
happened.
quicker it happens. It's quite amazing.
Because the working it out comes from the same point of view we've always had, and that's always been the problem.
Yep.
How do you get outside your point of view? Allow room for the possibility that there is another way of looking at all of this. Then it comes to you, and again, there's that gap,
Yep.
which brings up all the fear of self-doubt and the unknown. That's the only reason that point of view exists. And at some point, it doesn't have that point of view. The reason you have these epiphanies at some point along this process is because that point of view doesn't have the energy it needs to exist in the form it takes. So it starts to dissolve. So you have less consciousness trapped in the past, meaning there's less of you in the moment, there's more of you in the moment, and the obstacle is dissolving at the same time. So you see through more and more and more.
So
That's
trippy.
that's what's going to play out over the next couple of years. And it doesn't matter who anyone is on the planet. and especially those of the
S-
interference, the
So let
core
me
group.
ask you, why do we say 2 years? It's been 3 years since we met, and I've kind of always stuck to 2027 just from a knowing, but you even brought it even firmer into my field. They don't give dates. Is
Hmm.
it intuition?
There's something about that number too. So 47 was Roswell. That was the beginning of the open contact process starting. It was the Roswell incident, 1947. The human race reached critical mass to trigger the 100th monkey effect. In other words, we woke up to the truth in
97.
97, and then open contact somewhere around not 27.
2027.
Now, again, form and timing. It's more about what plays out over the next couple of years being the delivery vehicle of collapsing the controlled narrative. The control over information, that has to be exposed. The fact that the fact that what everybody thinks and how they've acted is coming from an engineered
Yeah.
perspective,
Yep.
deliberately created for an outcome.
Yep.
That no one can escape responsibility for participating in that. That has to be seen by the whole human race because that's the whole engine room behind it all. So how that plays out exactly and the time frame it plays out is less important. The form and timing is not so much important. It's just the what it needs to take to meet the need at the time. But the outcome is open contact with ET, with
Yep.
our brothers and sisters, because we're genetically related to them. That's a critical part of it.
Yep.
But then with their help, we put our civilization back around the right way. But with
Yep.
full understanding, the first race in the history of the universe to have this full understanding of how the whole thing happened since Atlantis, the inversion process. We've seen through the whole inversion
Yep.
how, just like when you were born, you were whole. So you didn't know how we've all gone through the same process the human race went through in Atlantis, since the fall of Atlantis to now. We didn't know the value of what we had till we lost it. Then we've come back to the point of being understanding exactly what we had and how we lost it. So we can put it all back together consciously and it can never happen again. And we take that body of knowledge into the galaxy. Because for the first time in history, the history of the universe, there's direct personal experience by self-aware life of the entire playbook of the one that fell, which has never happened before.
So
It's the
cool.
whole reason the human race exists. Don't
So
believe some of these arrogant scientists who say, human race, we think we're the center of everything, and ETs turn up and we realize we're just a flea on the body of a dog. They have that sort of attitude to it. It's
ugh, so gross. I
the
cannot
value,
stand that.
the importance and incredible power and uniqueness of the human race is massive, but
Yeah,
it's extraordinary and ordinary.
sure. Well,
Yeah, but
absolutely, but that's self-deprecating.
yeah,
Like you'll see reels on YouTube or Instagram or wherever you go on, just with beautiful, adorable kittens and puppies and dogs or like an animal saving another animal, a different animal species saving a
yeah,
baby of a different species, blah 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 blah. I'm beating a dead horse.
mercy.
Right, right. Mercy, right? But then you'll see a million comments. Humans don't deserve animals. Humans could learn a thing or two from animals. No, 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 no. And of course, I get what they're saying, but my response, my comment in response is, if I feel like even responding, is usually we absolutely do deserve animals. Animals deserve us. We deserve animals. They teach us, we teach them. They are our guardians, we are their guardians. Of course, we deserve
Mm.
animals. Don't even think for 1 second humans don't deserve animals. That doesn't negate what's done to animals regularly. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. So, anyway, just so we're on the same page.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I'm sleepy. I'm babbling. All right.
Yeah, it's getting to that point. I'm tired too. So I bet
Okay.
I mean, that's usually a sign that we've
We've,
connected
yeah.
to the
Oh,
need.
I think it was great. I think it was great. Oh, Lisa says 2027 equals 11. New phase and shift.
Yeah. And
Yes.
that's connected to the twin flame soul group as well, which was part of the process.
Donna says, thank you guys. Appreciate you and everyone here. Mike, I love you too, buddy. Buddy, he dropped some good ones. He's
Yeah.
so fucking funny. I love that guy. All right, love you guys. Love you, Gareth.
Love
I'll
you,
call you in
Katie.
five minutes. I'm just kidding. I'm not calling
Oh,
you.
and it's 80 years.
It's a hell. It's a hell
47 to
for.
27 is 80
Oh,
years.
I
Eh?
47 to 20. Yeah, I know. 47. I had done that while you were talking. 47 to 97 was 50. 97 to 27 was 30. So 80
Yeah,
years.
80 years. And that's important because the whole thing, the one of the key points of putting our civilization back, it revolves around the Sphinx, which was built for God, which revolves around the number 8, which is the entry point, solar plexus.
Wait a
It's
minute.
when
What's
divine comes
revolved
into
around the
form.
number eight?
The Sphinx.
Oh,
It's connected to God.
okay. Okay. Maybe we should talk about Egypt and the Sphinx next time. I know
Think
we
of it
have
as
before, but I hear it differently every single time.
it's the solar plexus of reality. So it represents well, you are all as a star. Stars have a singularity at the core. So the black hole, the fifth dimension. So it's
Yeah,
the entry point of God coming into the world. So we could speak like I spoke to God. That was a common thing. Well, not a common thing, but you could do that. That's
sure.
something that's reality. So the
Yeah.
Sphinx was a part of a technological system and it represented something. So civilization orbits around its origin, divine order, just like we do, just like everything. It's an extension of that. So Tom, spokesman for the Council of Nine, is a name for God. Well, you take the 8 principles of the universe and you add a voice, you get 9. But the 8 principles of the divine are universal to everything. So that's why the Sphinx resonates with the number 9. It's the physical structure that God comes through and speaks through.
Excellent.
So we're coming
Excellent.
back to that.
Okay. Okay. Donna wants to talk about that next time. So let's remember the
Oh, yeah, that's a big
Sphinx.
one.
I
The
hear it
Sphinx.
differently every time you and I have talked about it. I hear
There's
it
a lot to it.
differently. Yeah, there's a lot to it. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
And there's a
Cool.
lot I don't know, but there's more coming.
All right. Excellent. All right. Thank you, Todd. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Katie. Love you all. See you
Love
next
you.
week.
Mwah. Bye.